I think to be a good nature photographer, you'd have to have a camera with you all the time, at all times. Even if it's just a telephone camera, you should have a camera. You should be equipped with a camera at all times. You should. Because you never know when something pretty is going to come along. Do you? You don't. What's this? This is a sow thistle. That's what it is. Relative of the dandelion, obviously. Relative of the dandelion. And where are we? That's oxalis. Some sort of oxalis. As I was saying, if one's got a camera with one all the time, one doesn't miss out on things. Like yesterday in the distance, they were burning a palm tree, and I didn't think to film it. It was only after the palm tree was set alight and everything. I don't think it killed the palm tree. It was only after it was set alight that I thought I could have filmed that, because it was very unusual. They were burning all the debris under the palm tree, all the dead palm leaves. But I think it's still alive, actually. I did a bit of research online and found that you can burn a palm tree sometimes, that sort of palm tree. Look at the beautiful bee. Curiosity is another thing you'd need to be a good nature photographer, I think. A bit of curiosity would help. I just saw a bird a minute ago, a pretty bird, and I didn't have my camera with me. It was some sort of honey eater, and I thought, why haven't I got my camera with me, I thought. So you should really, if you're going to be a good nature photographer, coming up with new things and interesting things, you're going to have your camera with you at all times. For example, as regards curiosity, there are some pretty spider webs glistening in the afternoon sunlight. They look lovely. And what are they? Tiny flies getting about too. Glistening. Bit of a rainbow hue on them, I think, probably. Usually there is, on spider webs in the sunshine. Is there a rainbow hue? Very soft breeze, very slight breeze. That's pretty, isn't it, in its own way? And there's a few more webs here and there in the sunlight. And there's some more webs. I think they have a bit of rainbow on them. A bit of rainbow sheen. Even the common starling has a beautiful rainbow sheen on its oily wings. It does. And there's some more spider webs. Someone built a web for a reason. I don't think human beings were the first to invent rope, were they? They weren't. Other creatures had been there and done that already. So, to be a good nature photographer, there's a lot of sitting and waiting involved, and you've got to be patient as well. As I said, you've got to be curious, and you've got to always have your camera with you. I don't think most people really like artificially can set up photos like nature films. Like, I've seen films where it was in Sri Lanka, and there was a boy. He was you could see it was all artificially set up with a mouse and a cobra. You could see that it had all been set up, even though it was supposed to just be a nature film. I don't like those sort of nature films where things are too artificially set up. Like the crocodile just happens to have a zebra, or a lion just happens to have a deer at the right time. These are older films I'm talking about. Nowadays you might see more real-life action nature films, but a lot of the nature films I grew up with, I think they were rather contrived. Everyone's got cameras though now, haven't they? There's no excuse really. Everybody's got a camera and can do all this nature photography in their backyard. That's the sound of bees above. The bees are above in the Lonicera fragrantissima, also known as woodbine honeysuckle. There we are, that's Lonicera fragrantissima, one of my favourite plants. It's got a beautiful scent. It blooms in winter. It's from China. It's one of the plants brought back by the botanist Robert Fortune from China. He brought back the kumquat as well. I used to call it Fortunella, the kumquat, I think. But anyway, as I was saying, this is woodbine honeysuckle. It actually blooms in the snow, so it can stand it quite cold. Has a lovely scent. Lonicera fragrantissima, and it is very fragrant indeed, and it attracts bees, and it's one of the few perfumes that you have in the cold winter time. Lonicera fragrantissima, attracting bees. Now, it was the coldest day of the year yesterday, but even at the coldest time of the year in Australia, here we have fruits. This is a native fruit, the ruby saltbush, and it gives fruits more than once a year, including in the winter months. So, even in the winter months, there's bush tucker around. Fresh fruit is available, even in the winter months. Let me eat it. Yummy, very flavoursome, sweet and salty at the same time. These red bells certainly attract honey eaters. Look, these red bells can attract little aphids too. And the aphids bring all the little birds like silver eyes and superb fairy wrens coming for insects. The small insectivorous birds like aphids. What's the plural of aphid? Is it aphids with an S, or is it aphis? Some people seem to say aphis, don't they? But anyway, they attract aphids, and the aphids attract the birds. And the honey inside the flowers attracts the birds too. You can see some birds have actually ripped these bells open. These bells are from South Africa, but Australian honey-eating birds don't seem to mind. They seem to open up the flowers and get the honey out, or stick their beaks in and get the honey out. They're taken by sunbirds in South Africa, apparently. There's another kookaburra there. What? There's one in the distance. See if they reply. They're a bit like dogs and horses. I think they all talk to each other. All the dogs around the village talk to each other. All the horses neigh to each other. All the roosters crow to each other around the village. I think it's probably the same with kookaburras. There are certainly kookaburras around, aren't there? Lots of laughter coming out of the forest. Something must be very funny. I can hear a cricket. I can hear cars in the distance. I can hear a neighbour banging a piece of metal. That was a red wattlebird. Well, apparently the kookaburra is a close relative of the kingfisher. They do look a bit like kingfishers. That's true. But a kingfisher usually eats fish. A kookaburra could eat a snake if it wanted.